Victor Medina with the Medina Law Group, and this is going to be the most important video that you watch all year long. Do you have an IRA? Do you have a 401k? Well, here are some new rules that are coming out on Wednesday, April 6th. The Department of Labor is set to unveil a set of regulations that is going to require anyone that deals with retirement assets to be a fiduciary. And you're thinking to yourself, what's the big deal? Hasn't the person who's been dealing with my investments and my retirements been a fiduciary all along? The answer might surprise you. In order to get to telling you why the fiduciary rule is so important, I've got to explain to you the way that things have worked up into the past. See, back in the day, everyone who gave financial advice was a broker because they dealt with the company that was issuing the securities that you were buying. And there's almost no regulations on the words financial advisor. In fact, anyone who calls themselves a financial advisor, they could hold an insurance license, and just an insurance license, or they might hold a broker's license and only hold a broker's license. And if they're in those positions, their responsibility, their primary responsibility is to their employer. They're an agent of the people that hire them. So whether or not you're talking about an insurance company like MetLife or New York Life, or a broker-dealer like some of the largest ones that you know the names, the ones that begin with M, the ones that begin with U, the ones that begin with E, right? Those people are the people that hire the advisors, and therefore that's where their responsibility is. Now, they do have a responsibility to you. Their responsibility to you is to make sure that anything that they advise you is suitable for you. Now, to explain the difference between suitable and a fiduciary standard, let's use an example. If you were going to go to find the best thing that you could eat, right? You might go visit a butcher, and the butcher would explain to you, look, I've got some great pork, I've got beef, I've got some chicken, all right? And they are all top grade A meats for you. Now, is that butcher required to tell you that it's in your best interest not to have meat tonight, right? No, their job is to make sure that you've got a good cut of beef. They can't poison you, right? But they don't have to give you the best thing for you. See, if you went to go visit a dietitian, they might sit down and say, look, I'm looking at the whole horizon of what you have in front of you, and the best thing for you is to have a salad. Look, you could have some meat, but we really want to make sure that it's the best cut of meat. You might want grass-fed beef, which your butcher doesn't have available, but I'm going to tell you that it's probably in your best interest to avoid anything with antibiotics. See, the dietitian is the one who's the fiduciary, and the person who's the butcher is the one that's just giving you something that's suitable. So it's super important to remember that the person who's got your fiduciary's title has to do things in your best interest. That means across the whole universe of what's available, what they're recommending to you has to be the best thing for you. Now, this isn't a big deal when you're a lawyer, because when you're a lawyer, we always have to do the thing that's in our client's best interest. But when it comes down to working with people that only have a suitability standard, here are the kinds of things that they can offer you. They can offer you a proprietary product. They can offer you something that only their employer offers. They can offer you a contract for insurance that pays higher commissions than another one from another company. And that one from the other company, that might be in your best interest, but since it pays lower commission, and since the one with the higher commission ends up being suitable for you, it's no different than having chicken or pork, good, right? They can offer you that product. And so what's going on with the Department of Labor says we are tired of people mucking around with other people's investment and retirement accounts. We want to make sure that the advice that they're getting is of the highest quality and make sure that they get the thing that's in their best interest. And wouldn't you believe it, the insurance company, the brokers, they're going nuts, right? They don't want this rule because they realize that the moment that they're going to be held to that standard, everything's going to melt away. They are no longer going to be able to scam people. They're not going to be able to offer things that pay them a lot of money but isn't the best thing for their client. Now, there's been a section of the industry that has already been on this. People who are registered investment advisors, the people that work for firms that they have a securities license like a Series 65, they're already held to a fiduciary standard. They got into this, understanding that that was their highest standard. In the book that I wrote, upside down, in the book that I wrote, I dedicated an entire chapter to why you want a fiduciary. I have a whole chapter on why you want to avoid proprietary assets. This is the way you want to be dealing with an investment advisor going forward. You want to make sure that this person's in the best interest. And I tell you, it's the greatest news that we are unveiling this rule, because for the first time, we're going to be able to explain to clients in a way that the federal government's behind, in the way that the people in the industry are behind, and they finally understand that just because that person takes you out to lunch and just because they've got this big name behind them doesn't mean that they're always working in your best interest. Right? You want that person that would take a fiduciary oath that swears that everything that they're doing is in your best interest, is the best thing for you. So I'm really excited. I'm glad that this rule is coming out. It is the best thing for clients. It's the best thing for anyone that's dealing with retirement accounts. Now, there's only one wrinkle. The rule does not cover non-retirement accounts. So when you're dealing with an after-tax account, just your savings, they can go back to offering you that thing that's not in your best interest. But at least with the retirement accounts, the IRAs and the 401ks, those accounts are now going to be held to those rules. Now, this rule is not in law yet. It's going to be unveiled on April 6th, but you can imagine that everyone's going to fight this thing. They're going to try to pull it apart. Why are they going to pull it apart? Well, they're going to pull it apart because they want to make sure that they're still getting paid as much as they were before. It's important to them that you don't understand what's going on with the investment strategy that they're recommending. They want to make sure that they're not held to a legal standard to give you the best thing, because the best thing may not pay them the most. So I hope that this rule with the Department of Labor goes in the way that it's been drafted, because it's been drafted with your best interests in mind. It is a fantastic rule as written, and we're going to keep an eye on this. You deserve to have an investment advisor that has your best interests in mind. And let me tell you something, if you know someone who's got an IRA or 401k, who's working with one of the big agencies, they may not realize that they're dealing with a broker-dealer that has only been looking at suitability as a standard, maybe putting them in proprietary assets. You got two choices to help them out. First thing is, you should send them this video. Make sure that they're watching this as well, because it's super important for them to get this information. At the same time, maybe you want to send them a link to our book, okay? Because that's talking about exactly the kind of advisor and advice you should be getting when you're dealing with retirement and even pre-retirement. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I would really love it if you share this information, send along a link, make sure as many people as you know are watching this, because this is the information they don't want you to know. Thanks for watching. I'm Victor Medina with the Medina Law Group.